Hello everybody, here I am, Andres, doing this video, the first video in English. So a few weeks ago I had the chance to visit Venice for the 2025 Architecture Biennale. It was really interesting. So this year's edition runs from May until November 23, as usual, and it's curated by Carlo Ratti under the title Intelligence Natural Artificial Collective. This theme explores how intelligence exists in many forms, in nature, in technology, and especially in the collective process that shape our environment. And honestly, for me, Venice is the perfect setting for this conversation. So let me explain you really quick the history of the city while you're watching these first images from the Arsenale. So I was saying that Venice is the perfect location because Venice itself is a masterpiece of human nature's negotiation. The whole city was founded on a lagoon in the year 421 AD, originally as a refuge from invasions on the mainland. Venice wasn't just founded in the lagoon, it was engineered into it, because the land here is basically mud and water. Early Venetians had to develop a very clever building technique. They drove thousands of wooden piles deep into the clay and sand layers below the lagoon. These piles created a stable foundation, almost like an artificial roots. On top of the piles, they placed planks and then thick blocks of eastern stone, a very dense type of limestone that is incredibly resistant to salt water. Over time, the oxygen-poor lagoon preserved the wooden piles, which essentially petrified underwater and became as hard as a stone. So the entire city is built on these hidden forests of timber foundations, a kind of floating architecture supported by human ingenuity. Continue with the evolution of the city. The city didn't have like a big impact in the Mediterranean Sea or the Italian peninsula, but over the time it transformed into the Republic of Venice, a maritime powerhouse that lasted from 697 to 1797, I think so. So thanks to its vast trading networks across the Mediterranean, Venice absorbs influence from the Arabic world, North Africa, and Asia. So this external influence, it's visible and it's readable in its architecture. So the architecture from Venice is like a kind of syncretism of different kind of cultures that influence these commercial trades across the Republic of Venice. Some of you may know the name of Marco Polo, the explorer who even reached the China and Mongolia, and so this is a proof that the Venetians, because Marco Polo was a Venetian, and his family has this tradition of commercial trades, that at that moment we were talking about the 13th, 14th century, Venice had a really large influence in the not only in the Mediterranean but also in part of Asia. So when you walk through the Biennale and talk about nature, technology, and global exchange, in a way you're already standing inside a living example of all those interactions. And the history of the Biennale itself, it's also quite interesting. Um, it began at the end of the 19th century as a big international art exhibition. I will say that the 19th century was the century of the global exhibitions. I say this because of, I don't know, I have in mind the Crystal Palace, this great building that was built for the purpose of a big exhibition, international exhibition in London in the middle of the 19th century. So at first, as I was saying, the Biennale didn't have architecture as a main topic. Appeared only occasionally during the 20th century until 1980, when architecture Biennale was officially established as an independent event, alternating every 2 years with the Art Biennale. And it's very interesting because since then it has constantly reinvented itself. You might even seen that the Biennale appear in the film The Brutalist, like in the end of the movie. I mean, the character is an invented character. It wasn't real, but in the Biennale they were doing like some kind of memorial of his work. So it's like a good example of how important it is for the architecture world. So the 2025 theme or topic, Carlo Ratti defines architecture not just as buildings, but as a way of thinking, a process, a tool for understanding the world. So the exhibition becomes less about finished objects and more about the forces, systems, and ideas that shape our environments. Ese es de otro arquitecto. Antes de la fundación de Macondo, luego, indiferente a quienes se acercaban a conocerlo, mantuvo la atención concentrada en el techo de palma que parecía a punto de derrumbarse bajo la. If we talk about the Arsenale space, there are two main spaces: the Arsenale, the one that are you watching now, and the Giardini, that is going to be the next video. But especially talking about this one, it's a former shipbuilding complex of the Venetian Republic. The purpose of this building was, I think, for commercial trades. Now it's very interesting because it's for exhibition spaces, especially for the Biennales. I don't know if the space is also used during some other months, but I don't know, maybe not. And the route is basically a long linear sequence of large halls. As you can see, there is no outside spaces in the first part, so everything is closed and you don't have like an exterior relationship. And so it's quite interesting because you kind of get lost and you lost the time pass sensation. And because it's an architecture biennale, the range of topics is huge, starting from global warming as a big deal and the environmental design ideas, the artificial intelligence, of course, collective and participatory process, material experimentation, large-scale models, prototypes, and installation, everything related with this. So there is like a sense of multidisciplinarity.
Se le hace a un sistema para ver el cambio de energía. El cambio de energía está directamente proporcional con la temperatura. Entonces tenemos la temperatura de la tierra, la temperatura del aire, el delta Q.
¿Y cómo se aplica este proyecto?
¿Y cómo se aplica en este proyecto? Pues para saber cómo va a estar el aire en cada uno de los pedazos del proyecto.
That is very particular in architecture. So I would say that there is too much information. The amount of exhibitions and the amount of topics is huge, as I mentioned, and I didn't have the mental strength to read everything, but I try my best. But there is something really nice that they added this year, that was that every like description that they have has its own AI resume brief, so it was helpful for the lazy ones. So towards the end of the Arsenale, you arrived at one of the most memorable installations, the most big ones also, a water filtration system that actually produced clean drinking water, and even a proper espresso that I didn't have the chance to taste, by the architects Diller, Scofidio, and Renfro. And nearby, this incredible structure by the British architect Norman Foster, that is like a lightweight structure, a structural prototype that it's like a gateway for the Venice canals, exploring the sustainable modular constructions, and also proposing like new kind of transportation methods. So we are reaching the final galleries, and they continue with the similar themes: large model conceptual projects, interdisciplinary research, and that's something I really love about the Biennale. Even though it's an architecture event, it brings together natural science, social science, engineering, art, and even technology. So even if you're not deep into architecture, there is always something that connects with your interest. Um, these last shots you're seeing now, they were from my way back to the entrance. They were closing. I had the chance to do this because it was almost empty, and so it was easier for me. My favorite parts, maybe here you are seeing exhibition by the Colombian architect Giancarlo Massanti. But my favorite exhibition or prototype was one by Kengo Kuma. It's called Domino 3.0. And it was really interesting because it was like a structure made by the some trees. They didn't try to change the shape of the trees, so they study the way they can produce like a very strong structure without changing the shapes of different type of trees, because when you try to use wood as a structure, you have to regulate it, you have to cut it in a certain way. But they try to explore the way they can produce a structure with the same shape of the tree. So basically they create some joints that adapt to the shape of the tree, and they study the way they react, this structure react with different type of forces. And it was really nice, like the video that they have there to explain it was really interesting also. Okay, this was my opinion about the Biennale, the Arsenal part. I hope you like it and hope you find it enjoyable, and I hope you understand me. I'm not used to this, so maybe I'm not the best one talking, but anyway, see you in the next video. I'm gonna shut up for these final minutes, but I just want to thank you for spending time watching this, and please share with whoever you think will find it also interesting. Bye bye.